been a while since I've done a talking video here, and I figured I'd check in with all of you that have stuck with the channel for, I don't know, what has it been, a year plus, 2 years, something like that. And then anybody who happens to stumble across the channel or this video now or in the future, figure I'd do like a little, I don't know, fireside chat or State of the Union here at the 400th video. This channel has always been just about showing people in the community that beacons, player beacons, rescue beacons, transport beacons, etc., that they are safe, and that there are plenty of players out there who enjoy helping out other people in the community in game, and it is a viable, useful, and enjoyable mechanic for people on both sides of the fence, whether you're sending the beacon for help or you're doing the response to them. And I wanted this channel to try to dispel a lot of the preconceived notions, a lot of the negativity on Reddit and Spectrum and Discord channels, and from content creators who would say that, you know, they're just traps, everyone's going to show up and steal your stuff and shoot you, and you know, nobody uses them, they never get used. Look at the data that CIG has, which no data has ever been presented, and if you're one of those people who has said data, please whip it out for the community to see. But I've been doing these beacons since 3.16. I'm at somewhere around 12 or 1,300 of these. I have responded to just as many as I have sent for myself, and I have only ever had a negative experience a handful of times. I will concede the one prime issue, perhaps the only issue, is that there are people with slow ships, people with bad components, and it takes them forever to get somewhere, and people have to wait, unfortunately. But it's not a mechanic you're forced to use. So if you don't like it, you never had to use it. Now, this video has 3.24 in the thumbnail, but it's only going to be about the new patch as it pertains to player beacon gameplay, right? The state of things since 3.23 EPTU. If you're looking for a video that's about 3.24 general stuff, like cargo hangars and all that, all the recent talk of the town stuff, I would highly suggest just close out this video and pop up to your search bar on YouTube and look up guys like Space Tomato and Ferrister and Super Mac Brothers and Hybrid V and Board Gamer, you know, Zivher Studios, and you know, they've got all that stuff covered on a regular basis, and they do great work. So this video is just going to be touching on how we still don't have personal transport beacons back. They used to be a thing since 3.22.1, but they were removed in the EPTU for 3.23 with no word. There's been no official word of any kind to the community, not the connected people who, you know, have inside info, but to the community about why they removed them or what the deal is if they're coming back. The notifications for beacons have been relegated to the low priority section on the right side of the screen. They are smaller, they disappear more quickly, and you cannot accept them as a regular mission anymore with the left bracket. You have to go into the mobiGlas, which is a pain in the ass when you're flying or under fire or whatever the case may be. It's an unnecessary amount of tedium, and it seems a bit intentional, and I don't want to open that can of worms. You know, we all have our things that we complain about in Star Citizen, and we all crush each other for complaining just the same, right? And but these things had to be done purposefully by a developer. So the project manager walks into the room in the morning and says, "Hey, Tom," sorry if there's a developer named Tom, I'm not picking on you, hands him a notepad, you know, little piece of paper, says, "These are our things for today. You know, remove the transport beacons, move these notifications over, make sure you can't accept them from the screen, and lower the price of the Pisces C8R so everybody can afford it in the game or out of the game. It has an instant respawn bed, and all the kids will love it." Okay, I'm going to go sit down and clickety-clack on my keyboard and make those changes. So these changes were done on purpose, and nobody knows what the grand vision is of CIG. CIG doesn't even know what the grand vision is. I know we have a lot of zealous groupies, I'll call them, in the community that are sure they know the true path, but they don't know shit just like the rest of us don't know shit. There's a handful of people that know developers personally and can talk to them about anything, and either they can't share it with us due to NDA reasons, or they just choose not to, and it's probably the former rather than the latter, and that's good for them. You know, we we all have a friend who's connected in something. But it would be nice to know. Now, beacons have always been a low priority thing. They've just been this quiet feature in the background chugging along since 3.16. And through all the shitstorms of the previous patches before 3.24, they have almost always worked without fail. It is one of the most consistent features functioning in the game. And it's had its problems. Personal transport beacons had one part of it broken, where the marker for who you picked up would no longer transfer to the destination that player had set. Their marker would just remain on their person. Easy to overcome, not a big deal. But largely they've functioned very well. And, we play games to find something that we enjoy and something that's fun for us, interesting for us, engaging for us, and is replayable. And for me, like others, and especially these orgs that are focused on it, for example, like Rescue Squad 1, this is fun for us. This was our fun, right? This was my fun. And there was a lot of hoopla about, how this gameplay never existed in the first place, and it's been compared to medical as a whole and all this stuff. And let me tell you, as someone who's done this day in and day out for a long time, everybody who thinks this gameplay didn't exist and nobody used it, again, can just, quite frankly, fuck off. With all due respect. Because if it didn't exist, I wouldn't be sitting here talking about it, and I wouldn't have a channel with a ton of videos, and I wouldn't have all this experience with it, and there wouldn't be orgs about it. So it's just stupid to say. Just because you don't use it, or you don't want to, interact with it, or respond to anybody's thing, or send your own, that's fine. Nobody's twisting your ball sack. Do you, and we'll do us. But our gameplay disappeared, yours may not have. And I'd like to see in the future CIG restore things to the way they were in 3.22.1. I'm not asking for a revamp of medical. I don't need a reputation system, and I don't want to say those things aren't important, because they are, and they're a top priority for a lot of the community. And those should be addressed just like everything else that, every other reasonable thing that the community puts forward should be addressed. This is just a basic snapshot and a check-in of what's going on with the game. So 3.24, things have still not returned in the favor of those of us who like this gameplay. And as I said before, after 50 or 70 hours in 3.23, it's not the same. It's just not the same. And we can speculate as to why, just as I did, till the cows come home. And that's fine. It doesn't matter why. It matters that it happens. And what matters is it coming back. So, hopefully it does come back. Hopefully it does get restored. I am going to CitizenCon in October, and I hope to meet a lot of the people that I have, interacted with online in the community, in game, on Spectrum, Reddit, whatever. I'd love to talk about this in person, and I'd love to talk to the devs face to face and see if, there can be any information gleaned from them as to what's going to go on with beacon gameplay. It's not just rescue beacons and transport and whatever. There are purpose-built ships that can provide services to players. And the traditional way, the bulletproof method of asking for help in the server was using a beacon. And here you have the Starfare, which probably still doesn't work, but there's no fuel beacons. You have the SRV introduced. There's no towing beacons. It just seems like a low-hanging fruit, and I'm not a developer, so I can't speak to what an actual low-hanging fruit is when it comes to creating something in the game and how it affects everything else, if there's a cascade knockdown effect of who knows what, But it's just something I would like to see eventually prioritized, or at least not diminished any further. And I do believe they have been diminished, whether intentionally. Well, it was intentional because, again, you had to sit down and literally do these things and make these changes. So it was intentional. I'm not over here with my pitchfork and my torch saying, it was malicious and they are out to get me or anything insane like that. And nobody should be like that for any game feature. Try to separate the issues from the emotions, huh? But that's my piece. I just wanted to check in with you guys again. I never ask anybody to subscribe on here. if you like the videos, you like the videos. If you like the gameplay, you like the gameplay. And I just hope this can continue in the future to serve as a kind of a living, breathing record that these beacons are safe. They're fun to use, and it's great to interact with other players in the community. It's great to help them out, and it's great to see other players pitch in and help out in situations that we get ourselves into in the game or involved with bugs or whatever. But I appreciate you watching this, and we'll see what happens at CitizenCon.